Hey everybody, it's my 40-gallon soon-to-be native tank. I'm going to redo it, and I'm going to set it up with all native species. I'm even going to put native plants in it this time. And I went out today to get some aquarium gravel. It's not ideal, but it looks native enough. It looks close enough to what the native stream beds and stuff around here look like, sort of sandy and gravelly, and I thought that would be just fine. I also got some egg crate plastic, which is this stuff. This is a light diffuser. Goes in a standard overhead fluorescent fixture, but I use it to keep the rocks from coming in contact with the bottom of my aquarium. And this tank's going to have some pretty big rocks in it. So I'm going to cut that to size, cut it to be the shape it needs to be, and just put it in and completely cover the whole bottom of it. So when I went out to get some rocks today, I went out to get some gravel today, the Walmart did not have any of the aquarium gravel I was looking for. So I got to thinking about it, and I decided one thing I could do would be to cover the bottom of the tank in flat rocks. And then I've got a little bit of aquarium gravel in the other room. I've got about 10 pounds of it in an old aquarium that's just been sitting there, and I could use that to sort of fill in the gaps and make it look like the whole bottom was completely covered, even though the gravel would only be covering in the areas between the rocks. And the more I got to thinking about it, I realized, why not just go out and, instead of grabbing some rocks from the stream, why not take a bucket and grab a bunch of gravel from the stream? And so I can go full native. I can have native gravel, literally sand from the stream bed, and rocks and everything that I've collected locally. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to go out to Graves Run. It's a nice little spot not far from here. I can park the truck and walk right down to the water. I may, well, no, I'm not going to. I was going to say I may see if I can catch a few little fish while we're there, maybe have a look at what's available, but we're probably not going to mess around with that today. We are going to go out there and get some gravel, some sand, or whatever, and maybe if we find a few really good-looking big flat rocks or something that'll work well for this setup, for what I've got in mind, we'll get them too. So sit tight, let me get my boots on, and I will see you out at the water or in the truck or somewhere along the way. Alright everybody, got a couple of points I want to make before we get there. But first, for anybody that wants to follow along at home, we are on Beckleysville Road. That is actually the old Beckley house that we just passed on the right there. And we are making a left at the 5 corners onto Gunpowder Road. And we're going to take Gunpowder up to where it intersects with Graves Run. It's a place I go to fairly regularly. And we can park and get out and be right there at the water. So if you want to look at a map and see where we are and all that kind of stuff, we're now on Gunpowder Road heading up towards Graves Run. So when we get there and we collect up all this sand, I'm on the fence about what I want to do with it, whether or not I want to bring it home and sterilize it, or if I want to bring it home and just use it as live sand. I think I'm leaning towards maybe not sterilizing it necessarily in the purest of senses, but cleaning it up with some bleach, hot water, hydrogen peroxide, something, just doing something to make sure I get it treated so that we don't have to worry about bringing home any little creepy crawlies. Because as much as it might be nice to think about natural sand or rock or gravel or whatever we're going to, wind up bringing home, and having it living, in the tank and already ready to deal with the nitrifying bacteria and so on and so forth. But, there's a lot of stuff out in the real world that I don't necessarily want to bring home to my aquarium. There's leeches and all kinds of predatory insects and diseases and parasites and even insects that might hatch out and start flying around my basement or something. So I don't think I'm going to go with the live gravel or live sand. I think I'm going to probably wind up cleaning it up a bit once I get home. And then the other thing I wanted to point out was I've always wanted a yellow perch in one of my tanks, but they're really aggressive, and that's always been kind of a bummer. And the real deal breaker was the fact that they have to be at least 9 inches to bring them home. I can't even keep them unless they're already 9 inches. And I did a little bit of reading today, and I found a little, not really a footnote, but if you go into the freshwater section and you start looking at the regulations, it turns out that if I catch a yellow perch in a non-tidal lake, there is no size limit. So I never knew that. Any perch I catch at Pretty Boy Reservoir is fair game. I can take it home. So we might actually be able to put a little fingerling perch in that aquarium. We'll have to wait and see. So let me get my head cam strapped on, and then we'll take a stroll on over there to the water and see what we can find. All right. I don't know how much gravel we're actually going to find over here versus just sand. I can already see a ton of little minnows swimming around out there. See, this is more like what I'm talking about. Now, should I bring home enough of this to fill up the aquarium? Or should I go more for the sandier stuff? Because this is certainly what a natural bed of the stream is going to look like. It's going to be all these little rocks and gravel. This kind of rock here, I don't know what that is or what that type of rock it is, but these are super common. I have a bunch of these in my aquarium. Again, you can just find this everywhere, and it's a native rock around here. It's part of, it's a natural rock around here. It's not something that's been dumped from a quarry or anything like that, but it's real silvery looking, so I don't know what it's made out of. And I'm tempted to just put the bucket down and just scoop a bunch up into my hand. That's a little dangerous though. You run the risk of broken glass and stuff when you're in an environment like this. I don't really recommend using your hands to do that. Got some little medium-sized fish out there swimming around. Got all that nice green cyanobacteria all over everything growing here. Looks like that could be the bottom of one of my fish tanks. This is actually usually a nice little honey hole. I used to be able to pull some nice bass out of here, but there was a half-fallen tree that provided a lot of cover. Now it's all just wide open, and I don't see anything in there except a bunch of little minnows swimming around. All right. See, I get down here and it's much more like that, and I definitely don't want to be bringing this home. This is more like dirt than sand. So I definitely don't think I want to bring any of that home. I can't believe how much that log has moved. I actually came out here with a handsaw and cut part of this out of the way one year. It completely blocked all the fishing through here, and now the floods and stuff, the water has actually just pushed it all the way down and moved it out of the way completely. Interesting. All right, I guess we will go do what we were originally doing and get some of that stuff and small rocks and bits. I do have, as I pointed out, the about 10 pounds of the aquarium gravel at the house, so I can mix that in with whatever I'm collecting up out here, and that should work out okay. So let's try to find an area that's a little more gravelly and less rocky, and then just try scooping a bunch of it in there. Again, I don't recommend doing this with your bare hands. guess we could always do this and then just go through, and be easy enough to just pull the bigger chunks out. I'm going to do it like this though. I should have brought more than one bucket. Wasn't really sure what I was going to do when I got here. I hadn't really thought this one through. I've never done this before. I've always bought that aquarium gravel, and that's always been good enough. I've never tried using my own collected gravel. I don't know if you can see it through the glare or not, but that's definitely a little critter hole right there. I'm trying to swirl up and kick away as much of the silt and sediment as I can, so all I'm really getting is the small stones and more gravelly bits. Well, it'll take me a little while, but I think I can eventually get something we can use out of there. I hope you can see down there well enough. So I'm going to stop videoing here rather than spend the next 20 or 30 minutes slowly collecting this stuff up. And after that, we will get back to the house and then we'll see what we do from there. But I will definitely get this home and get it cleaned up, and we'll have a look at it under a little better camera lighting. So sit tight, and I will see you all back at the house. All right, and here we are back at the house. Hopefully this will not be sort of an anticlimactic conclusion to this video. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see these stones and gravel in the aquarium tonight. I am going to be clearing it out, but I wanted to at least give everybody a look at what it actually looks like up close. And so what I think I'm going to do is, you can see I got a pretty good amount in there. And so what I think I'm going to do is fill the bucket with very hot water. I have water that comes out of my tap at about 160 degrees, maybe 163 degrees last time I measured it. It's been years, but it should be still somewhere in that neighborhood. So I have extremely hot water, and what I'll do is I'll pour some in there. I'll let it sit for a few minutes, whereas all the rocks and everything will absorb a lot of that energy from the water, cooling it down, and then I'll just pour that out. I'll put more hot water in, and I'll do that 2 or 3 times until I bring all of the sand and all the rocks and everything up to temperature. And I will also, at that point, incorporate some hydrogen peroxide in there, and I'll just let this sit overnight, and then tomorrow we can go ahead and get it rinsed out and start working on getting it in the tank. So in the meantime, I'm going to say thanks for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed that. And of course, make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss anything else I got coming up, and you don't want to miss the progress that's going to be made on this tank. So hopefully by tomorrow we will be getting all this gravel and everything into the tank, and we'll start working on getting some rocks in there and building a little bit of structure and making it actually look like an aquarium. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you real soon in the next one. All right, everybody, I had to shoot a prologue after doing this. I got my hot water poured in there several times. Like I said, I got all the gravel and sand and everything in there nice and hot, and then I poured some hydrogen peroxide in there and went and filled up one more bucket of hot water. And when I came out, it looked like I had put an Alka-Seltzer in there, so I added the hot water to it, and now it looks like I'm making mud soup. But all those bubbles you see are from hydrogen peroxide, so that's actually oxygen being released. So we definitely have some sterilization and some killing going on in there. So like I said, I'm going to let this sit at least overnight. I'll stir it around. I'll maybe drain it, add some more hot water. I've got the rest of that bottle of hydrogen peroxide to add to it, so I can always go ahead and do this whole process again. But I was expecting to see some fizz and some bubbles here and there. I was not expecting to see a cauldron of, you know, it almost looks like a rolling boil, or at least a steady simmer. So I thought you all be interested in having a look at that. So we're getting there. As I said, tomorrow, maybe the day after, we'll actually start getting this stuff into the tank. but I am feeling very confident that we won't have to worry about any unwanted visitors once we get it in the tank after what we're doing here to it tonight. So all right, everybody, this is the end for real. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you real soon in the next one.